Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the second stage of the Dokkan Chronicles event, the second anniversary stage, and obviously how you can take it on. Now, for players who don't understand or aren't trying this or just have taken a look at the event itself is comprised of essentially a stage for every anniversary. How it works ultimately is that these stages are restricted in terms of your character usage. So for example, to take on the first anniversary, you only had a selection of units that had come out before the first anniversary, the SSRs. Then in terms of the second anniversary stage, it expands. You get a little bit of a bigger roster. For me, the first two stages so far have been the most challenging, largely because they have the biggest restrictions. So as the events go along, they will get harder in terms of raw numbers, but I feel like they probably will get easier, as players generally will have more units to deal with it. A lot of the times, these banners and these events are going to be easier for veteran players. Sometimes as a newer player, you might struggle. For example, you may not have access to all the units. You may not have dupes in all the units. This is because the banners you summon on lean towards newer releases. So it's a bit of an interesting situation. I think overall, for this event, to be honest with you, you should be okay. But obviously, I'm trying to utilize free-to-play options where possible. We will expand the rosters out as we go along, so it'll be progressively easier. For this one, we are facing Hercule in the first round. Nothing too crazy about him. He does a 275,000 super attack. He is immune to being stunned. But all of the bosses, what's super interesting about them is they reduce damage suffered to 4 million or below. So basically, if you were to damage them for 5 million, it would be reduced to 4 million max. So what this does is it makes the bosses appear tankier than they are. For example, Frieza is not necessarily the super tankiest unit, but when he's restricting characters to only being able to do at the most just under 1/5 of his health with every attack, it tends to make things a little bit more difficult. So yeah, overall, Hercule, pretty straightforward, 110,000 normal, 275,000 super, immune to stunning. Frieza, 380k super attack. He also has quite a high chance of doing it in the first position. Nullification of sealing, nullification of stunning, disabling of attack lowering, and he hits for 135,000 normal. Goku is very different. So Goku hits a 500,000 super, but Goku counts down towards his super. So his super is guaranteed. That means you know exactly where it's going to happen. This gives you the ability to basically plan yourself around everything. So you have a couple turns to get through it. So generally you should be fine to get through the fight against Goku. Goku himself can stun you. He has a 20% chance on his super. And he also disables attack and defense reduction, immunity being stunned, and sealing. The anniversary events, the main draw is obviously to get the new events tickets. These tickets are obviously utilized at the shop and can be exchanged for a ton of prizes, Dragon Stones, Kais, etc. So obviously for players, I understand there's a huge incentive to trying to get these. I think overall for me, what I find generally is that I think, farming these is not necessary if you're just looking for getting the stones. If you're looking to get all the wallpapers and all the Kais and all of this and all of that, then yeah, I think you are probably going to have to look at, getting, how can I say, like farming these events, getting through them, running them more than one time. But luckily, things like the wallpapers and that are also quite cheap, so it's not too bad. For our team build, I went with a mixture of free-to-play solid options alongside as well some good super easy A's. We have, for example, the physical LR Captain Ginyu as our lead. He's just a great free-to-play unit, and I think, for most players, I still think he's a great valuable pickup. I do know he's expensive in terms of battlefield currency, but I do find him to be a really good pickup. Then we have the AGL Android Duo, a friend summon unit that is also equally great and very helpful and useful. We then have the First Form Freezer Prime Metal as well as also, of course, we have some really strong EZAs like the INT Golden Freezer. These aren't units that are strong by current day standards, but they're units that will do a good job for you in the context of this actual like battle, if you know what I mean. So I think for me, that's really where you've got to look at these events. You can't look at them in the context of the current meta. They will expand slowly to catching up to where we are as like Dokkan, as it shifts through the anniversaries. But I think for me, veteran players definitely have a much easier time with these stages than probably free-to-play, or how can I say, sorry, newer players do. But I think overall they're planned around that. That's kind of why they let people farm the rewards. It's kind of why they let people, do things. And also you got to remember, you've got your redstones. You can always pick up one or two of the super EZAs. I will say the super EZAs are probably the best units for these events in general, because not only are they strong by the current meta standards, but they're old units. They've been through EZAs already, Awakenings and EZAs, and now they're coming back for a third time. So a lot of them are usable across the first anniversary, second anniversary, third anniversary, fourth. They've been around for a long time. So the super EZAs, I will say, will probably be the cornerstone of a lot of these teams, especially the ones that do these events easily and without issues. So yeah, the only mission, like I said, is to use one unit of each type, and that's not too hard to meet the requirements. We've got Prime Metal Freezer, AGL, Androids, Physical Ginyu, the INT Golden Freezer. So we tend to make things work relatively well. Of course, let me know what you guys are struggling with. If you are having issues with these events, please let me know. But otherwise, I think as it goes along, it should get easier, which I think will be okay for players to deal with. But for now, that's it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know, and bye.